We are live at Border Patrol headquarters here in Yuma at the sector, and speaking today will be Special Agent in Charge Scott Brown, Yuma Sector Chief Patrol Agent Anthony Provoznik, Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot, and Operations Officer Justin Callinger. We're going to be talking about the newly discovered cross-border tunnel that was discovered in San Luis, Arizona.
What's that? Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Yuma Sector Border Patrol Headquarters. I wish to thank Homeland Security Investigations for letting us host this press conference on the joint effort between Homeland Security Investigations, Yuma Sector Border Patrol, and Yuma County Sheriff's Office. This is in concern of the cross-border tunnel that was discovered by these agencies. Please turn your attention to the screen as we watch a short video on the cross-border tunnel. I would first like to introduce HSI Special Agent in Charge, Scott Brown.
Good morning. I'm here to tell the story of a collaborative law enforcement success made possible by all the agencies represented in the room today. On Monday, August 13th, San Luis Police Department conducted a car stop for vehicle and traffic violations of a pickup truck towing a trailer that was driven by Yvonne Lopez, a resident of Yuma. After the stop, K9 was called and alerted to two toolboxes located on the trailer. Within the toolboxes was approximately 168 kilograms of hard narcotics. To break that down, I'll give you approximate rounded off numbers. That was over 118 kilograms of methamphetamine, over 6 kilograms of cocaine, over 3 kilograms of fentanyl, over 13 kilograms of white heroin, and over 6 kilograms of brown heroin. I would particularly note that just the 3 kilograms of fentanyl translates to over 3 million dosage units. As a nation in the midst of an opioid crisis, obviously this is a very significant seizure. Toolboxes in which the narcotics were discovered had previously been observed being removed from the abandoned KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, located at 552 San Luis Plaza Drive in San Luis by Mr. Lopez and placed on the trailer. HSI agents were notified. They obtained a search warrant for the abandoned restaurant, which was owned by Mr. Lopez, as well as for his residence. On Tuesday, August 14th, that search warrant was executed with participation from every agency in this room. Within the restaurant was located a cross-border tunnel. I'll provide you some specifics about the tunnel. The entrance entered into the U.S. entrance of the tunnel, or exit of the tunnel, came into the kitchen area of the restaurant, an area not viewable from the outside of the restaurant. The opening in the U.S. was only about 8 inches in diameter, not large enough for a person to pass through. The 8-inch opening was cut in the concrete slab floor of the restaurant. The tunnel descends about 22 feet and continues about 590 feet to its endpoint in Mexico. Through the efforts of the ICE attaché and the Border Patrol International Liaison Unit and the sharing of information with the government of Mexico, the following day, a search warrant was served in Mexico by Mexican authorities on the tunnel entry point. The tunnel entry point was within a residential compound, accessed by a trapdoor located under a bed. The tunnel was 590 feet long, approximately 5 feet tall, 3 feet wide. At the U.S. Entry point, there was no mechanism to physically come up to the small opening on the U.S. side. The narcotics, we believe, were raised up by a rope, then loaded into the toolbox and taken out of the abandoned restaurant. Again, this is a collaborative success. It is very much an ongoing investigation, so I'm going to be limited in the details that I share beyond what I've already shared. But again, it does not happen without the hard work of the agencies here today, the partnerships that exist in Yuma County through the Border Enforcement Security Task Force, through the Yuma County Narcotics Task Force. Again, the partnerships is what led to this success, led to us keeping approximately $1.2 million of hard narcotics off the streets, and undoubtedly, with the presence of fentanyl, saving lives. I'll turn it over to Chief Provoznik.
Good morning. Thank you for your attendance here today. As the Chief Patrol Agent of the Yuma Sector, United States Border Patrol, I want to commend the collaborative efforts of all of our law enforcement partners that resulted in the discovery of an active cross-border tunnel in San Luis, Arizona last week. This is another fine example of how a network of federal, state, local, and tribal law enforcement agencies can degrade or defeat a network of sophisticated transnational criminal organizations. I want to thank Special Agent in Charge, Homeland Security Investigations, Phoenix, Scott Brown, and Yuma County Sheriff Leon Wilmot, along with all the men and women of their organizations who work alongside Border Patrol agents every day to protect America. Their continued commitment to the national security mission exemplifies the whole of government approach to securing the homeland. In addition to our local partners and the fine men and women of the Yuma Sector Border Patrol, members of San Diego Sector Border Patrol tunnel team assisted with the tunnel clearing and mapping execution phase of this operation. I would also like to thank the Secretaria de la Defensa Nacional, Sedena, and the Procuraduría General de la República, PGR, for the continued coordination and support in Mexico. This discovery represents the 5th illicit tunnel found in the Yuma Sector area since 2007, and the 203rd tunnel found nationwide over the past several decades. Tunnels represent an elusive and dangerous threat to our country and are used by criminal organizations seeking to thwart border security measures. They can be used to smuggle people, narcotics, and pose a potential risk of being exploited by terrorist organizations wishing to do harm to our people and way of life. Painstaking hours of investigations and the use of various forms of technology have helped combat this technique. However, the work continues. We ask the community at large that if you suspect something or hear of something indicating the potential existence of a tunnel, especially given the, or to please notify us. And one call can make the difference, especially given the opioid epidemic that we are currently facing in this country. Help us secure this nation and keep dangerous drugs from entering the United States. In the near future, once HSI states their investigatory use of the tunnel is complete, U.S. Customs and Border Protection will begin the remediation process. This involves sealing off the tunnel at the entry-exit point in the United States and at the actual border, then filling the tunnel with cement, therefore rendering it useless. The United States Border Patrol Yuma sector is proud of the work accomplished thus far and looks forward to continued collaboration with all of our law enforcement partners, including our neighbors to the south. Rest assured that the men and women of the Yuma sector, along with our network partners, will endeavor to counter this and all threats in order to secure our communities and our country. Thank you, and I will now turn it over to my good friend and colleague, Sheriff Wilma.
Well, good morning. First, I'd like to thank Chief Provoznik and Special Agent in Charge Scott Brown for the opportunity to speak to you today and highlight our continued partnerships in combating the transnational criminal organizations that continue to significantly threaten our national security and prey on our citizens. As the Vice Chairman of the Southwestern Border Sheriffs Coalition, which represents the 31 border sheriffs from San Diego, California to Brownsville, Texas, we all understand that local solutions and problems are no longer yesterday's ideas, but today's reality. Community policing begins and succeeds at the local level through constant engagement with the citizens of our respective communities. Border sheriffs have the true life experience of living and working in their respective counties, and border security has been a continuous educational lesson for us all. So when the chief mentions that if you see something or hear something, say something, that's where the community comes into play with our partnerships to be able to solve situations such as this. We have witnessed the escalation of violence by these careless assailants on our citizens and law enforcement officers these past few years. However, we have also seen the successes that can be accomplished through a coordinated, tiered law enforcement approach and response with local, state, tribal, and federal agencies working in conjunction with our respective prosecutorial agencies as well. These partnerships are being currently witnessed firsthand of what we've been able to build here in Yuma County. And that's with the discovery of this tunnel in San Luis and the apprehension of a suspect who, as you heard earlier, had nothing but hard narcotics. And with that amount of fentanyl, that's that many lives that were just saved through this investigation. This discovery has no doubt dealt a heavy blow to that transnational criminal organization that built this tunnel. And that organization has obviously gone to extreme measures to circumvent what we've been able to build here in Yuma County for border security for our citizens. The key to our vital success in Yuma County is a result of many years of continued collaboration. I know everybody here standing here today will tell you that we've built quite a collaboration of cooperation for all of our entities here, and that's all for the safety of our citizens that we serve. That continued collaboration and communication and intel sharing amongst our law enforcement and federal agencies, we are the best ones to understand the geographic challenges for our community. And sheriffs all along the border have been articulate in the fact that all these partnerships that you see have to be tailored to our geographic areas to be able to best respond to what that threat is in our communities. This concept has been expanded to both sides of our international boundary by opening those lines of communication and collaboration with our Mexican law enforcement counterparts. We've been able to successfully curb a lot of the border activities that were going on here many years ago. I would just say that the Yuma County Sheriff's Office and our local law enforcement are proud to partner with our collaborative team, and we look forward to the continued efforts to protect and serve our community through our unified partnerships. So thank you.
Now we will begin question and answer. Please state your name and the affiliate you're with, and we're limited to one primary and one follow-up. And again, I'll start from this side here. Please raise your hand if you do have a question, and then we'll move forward. Sir.
Julio Cisneros from Telemundo. Do you know when the tunnel was built and by whom?
I do not have a precise date when the tunnel was built. Every indication we have has been within the last few months, probably around the start of summer. Ultimately, the ownership of the tunnel goes back to the Sinaloa cartel.
Hi, good morning again. Captain Navarro with Tribuna de San Luis in San Luis, Mexico. My question is this truck tunnel related to any drug cartel?
It's definitely tied to the Sinaloa cartel.
James Gilbert, Yuma. How much would a tunnel like this cost to build?
Tough to put an estimate on that. It's a very significant investment. Destroying the tunnel, which is what we're in the process of doing, will put a financial hit on the cartel. I would say, again, it's hand dug. It's shored, as you can see in the pictures, by 2x4s and plywood. So the material costs, while not appearing significant when you're trying to put 2x4s and plywood for 590 feet and dig that far underground, easily say a couple of $100,000.
Would this have been an operation that would have required like a miner or an engineer?
We're still mapping the tunnel. It appears to be pretty straight, so yes, there's definitely some professional involvement.
Thank you.
Sierra Encinas, KYMA. So we know that the ownership of that building changed recently to the Lopez family. So this tunnel is indeed tied to the Lopez family.
He owns the building. He was stopped with a significant amount of narcotics. He has been charged via criminal complaint with 4 counts of possession with intent to distribute narcotics. I should note, according to our justice system, he still has a presumption of innocence.
Luke, I'm KAWC here in Yuma. Are you confident that the tunnel was used primarily for drugs being brought into the country, or is human smuggling still suspected?
In this particular tunnel, very confident it was drugs only. The entrance on the U.S. side was 8 inches by 8 inches. So there's not a way a person could have passed into the U.S. via this tunnel.
Lucy Lopez from Noticias. The tunnel is near from the area and Border Patrol was patrolling always. How they don't see the jack?
Again, tunnel detection is very difficult. The Border Patrol does a fantastic job of securing our border. They do a fantastic job of deploying technology to counter tunnels and to help detect when they're being dug. When you're digging by hand, you're not leaving much of a signature, and this was a hand-dug tunnel by all indications. Again, through certainly nothing but superb effort by Border Patrol and all the agencies represented here today, we were to find this tunnel very soon after its completion and mitigate the threat that it posed.
Abraham Redano with Univision. Were any arrests made on the Mexican side?
Not as of this time.
Melissa Aguilar, Telemundo. Do we know the current condition of the tunnel? Like, is anybody ever going to be able to go inside of it?
So the San Diego tunnel team, who are expert at what they do and trained to do just that, to go into tunnels, did make entry into the tunnel. The tunnel is not structurally safe. They did not go the length of the tunnel. They ended up pulling out, you can see it even in some of the pictures I think that have been provided. Some of the shoring is starting to bow. Obviously the soil here in Yuma County is fairly sandy and soft. The possibility of a collapse is potentially imminent. So I don't know, kind of other than dropping in at the entry point to take a look down the tunnel, I don't think there's anybody going to be venturing into the tunnel at this point.
KYMA again. So we know that there was, as of now, no human smuggling, but was there like arms smuggling, like guns and weapons?
We have no indication of any arms.
James Gilbert, with the opening that small, is it safe to assume that it was just mainly going to be used for hard narcotics?
That is our presumption. And I would point out that is a uniqueness to this tunnel. Generally, when we've discovered cross-border tunnels, the primary commodity has been marijuana. Obviously, all the narcotics that were seized, and it's a very significant quantity, were hard narcotics.
I'm sorry, I do have another question. Is this case is this case going to be added to Mr.